Alrighty, we got a kitchen wall here with no outlets on it except for one all the way down here. So we're going to use some wire mold and extension box and a couple boxes, and we're going to add a couple more. Here in the country I was born in, we use a 12 American wire gauge on 20 amps, 14 American wire gauge on 15 amps. But in a kitchen we are required to use number 12. Black is live, white is neutral, the bare or the green is the ground. Red and blue are also live colors. However, you may find white live in a switch loop or a 220-240 volt circuit where the appliance does not require a neutral. Red and blue are also live colors. However, you may find white live in a switch loop or a 220-240 volt circuit where the appliance does not require a neutral. So I'll show you how to install this wire mold and add a couple more outlets. Okay, so we'll take the cover off our first outlet here. Well, how blessed I am not to have a Phillips screwdriver. You know what? I'm not going to frustrate. I'll just corner it with my regular screwdriver. Get it out. If I can get it out that way, I'll just use my pliers. Here we go, we got it out. Okay, we'll take our outlet off the box here. I hope we don't have a lot of wires in this box. We got paneling to screw into, so it's not just screwing into sheetrock. And there's plaster and lath behind it, and we got some good long screws. And these screws are good, so I'm going to save these. Oh good, we only have one layer in here. And they just backstab, so we'll just see how that outlet came apart. That doesn't make a good connection there. And they put this ground wire around the green screw backwards. Okay, so this is what we'll be hooking up to. And we'll throw this outlet over. Alrighty, so now we'll get our wire mold out and we'll get our parts for the wire mold. This is called a extender ring for a wire mold box. It goes over your box with the wires in it. And we will put it on this box right here. I'm not going to crank these screws down tight because I got to get my wire mold to go into this end here the way we want it. So this is our wire. This is a extension here. Here's our next box. I had that deeper extension in case there was a lot of wires in that box. And there's the back plate. So we'll put our back plate onto our wire mold like this. And we'll just tap it down so it's seated in the back like that. That's how you want it seated in the back. And we'll come down here and we'll put it on our box. Now we'll just push it in. Now it's in all the way. And we'll get it straight. So now look at it, get it straight here. And we'll put it right here and screw it into our wall. And I got a nice bite into something good and hard. Another one down here. I'm going to get it on there nice and tight. Okay, we'll use our number 12 American wire gauge wire here to go down to our other box we're going to be hooking up into. So I'll slide it in here. Okay, I came through nicely. I'm going to get my wire down here. Okay, so I have enough room here. I gotta get a ground screw in here and ground. We have to bond to our box, so I'm going to bring this wire in further so I have enough to go around that green screw and come up and pigtail to our other one here. So, put my insulation here. I'll be bringing the camera down here close in a minute so you can see how I hook this up with our, get all the debris off. Okay, we're going to open up this ground wire because we're going to make a nice pigtail towards it. We're going to get to that ground screw. So I'm going to bring the camera up close here. Okay, so we got to put our green screw in our threaded hole down here. I see our lip went back a little bit, so I'm going to take and tap it in with a screwdriver here from the other box. So I'm just going to put my screwdriver on the end of the metal lip and just tap it down. There. Now it's down where we want it. Okay, now we can tighten our plate down to the box snug here. We'll get our bare ground wire, we'll come around, we'll get around this green screw here. We'll close our loop the direction our screw turns here. Make sure it's tight. We have our black and our white and our ground. We'll get our ground wire go back into here, get it back into push it way back into the box so it's out of the way of everything. And we'll start tailing up our wires to hook up to our outlet. I'll pull some wires out of our 12-2 here. We'll twist them together. I'm going to make sure it's straight so we get a nice even twist. Get my third one in here. And get that back there further where I want it. I hold the tail so it doesn't get all messed up. And I just twist them so they go in nice and easily here. And I'll cut it so all the wires are even. And I will put a red wire nut on them. You either got to put a wire nut or a crimp sleeve on your ground wires. Now I'm not going to squeeze the wire nut, I'm just going to turn it with the pliers so I get a nice tight grip inside the cap. And we'll fold it back into our box, get our wires back out of the way there. Now we'll get our black wires together. These are really short, so I'll get this wire back, get it out of our way here. Okay, I'll get the insulation even at the bottom here. And so they're nice and even there. Okay, nice even twist. Get our tail in here, get the insulation even at the top. Wrap it in so it's nice and even. So it came out even up in here. Okay, very, very little tiny smidgen to clip off just to make it perfectly even. Okay, our insulation's even on the bottom, our copper's even at the top. I'm going to hold my tail, I'm going to put this wire nut on here. I like the ones with the wings better because I can turn them easier. Now, again, I'm not going to be squeezing on this wire nut, I'm just going to turn it, get it nice and tight. And we can fold them back into our box. Push it back in. And now we'll get our white wires together here. Get it back here. Okay, get them together here, get our insulation even at the bottom here. Get the copper twisted so it goes even. I'll bring my third one in. The insulation even at the bottom here. Bring it in. Twist it in so it goes in nice and even. And we'll cut them so they're all even on the end here. So we put the wire nut on. It grabs all 3 wires. Now make sure our insulation goes up into the bottom of this wire nut. Now I'm not squeezing, I'm just turning the wire nut. Because if I squeeze on it, it'll break it. I'm just turning it so it goes nice and tight. And we can fold this into our box. Put our wires back out of the way here. There we go. Now we can put our box extender on here. So we have to break our little tabby out on the side here. There's 2 notches. We're using the wider wire mold, so we take out the first one, then we'll go up here and we'll grab our second one. And it goes on here like this. Okay, I gotta bend this in a little bit because it bent out some. Because we gotta make sure it fits in this little track on both sides after we put it back on. Make sure it's on there nice and tight. And we're in the track on both sides here. Okay, so here's our receptacle. It only has flathead screws, and we're gonna put it in. We'll use a brown one in here. We'll close the screws we're not using because you don't want them to spring around and a wire, have them loose in there and have them touch something we don't want it to touch. Okay, the white wire goes on the silver screw, the wide slot. The black wire goes on the brass screw, the narrow slot. And the ground wire goes on this green screw. So we'll strip our wires. Get them to hook up to the outlet. I'm going to make just enough. I want to make sure I don't get that insulation under the screw head. Okay, so first we'll get our ground wire onto our green screw here. It's on the bottom on this one, so we'll put it around our screw the direction the screw turns. We'll close our loop. Make sure it's tight. We'll get our white wire and we'll put it on the silver screw here. Close our loop the direction the screw turns. This model does not have the backstab holes. That's kind of interesting. We'll make sure we get our copper under the screw head all the way around. Tighten it up like that. Now we can turn it around. Now when we fold our wires into the box, we're going to have them going up and down into the box. And the black wires are live wire. Make sure you don't get the insulation under the screw head. Make sure it's tight, like that. And now we'll fold our wires back into our box. We'll keep our ground wire going down in the bottom. Keep it down at the bottom. And our black and white will go up and down like this. And we'll keep them going into the box so that they don't hit any of the sharp edges, the corner of the edges of the box here. And there they go. They're not pinching into anything. And now we can screw our outlet back into our box here. Okay, that's not going to hit anything in here. Okay, that screw's not hitting anything. Now look, there's nothing up here, so the screw will be okay. I'm going to just check it with the top. It's not going to hit any back and strip out on me. Make sure it's tight. I'm going to center our outlet on the box here so it's nice. So we'll put brand new brown covers and I'll make sure that screw's not hitting anything. And that one's not hitting, so we're good here. So we're ready to go down to our next one. Okay, we gotta put a clamp on our longer run of wire mold here. We'll put it right here in the middle. Okay, now we'll come down to our box we're working on. We'll stick another screw in here for good tape measure. Oh, good, that's hitting something. Okay, so now we can take, I gotta turn my light a little bit, it keeps wanting to move on me. Okay, this is a factory edge here. This is a cut edge, so we're going to take a flathead screwdriver. We're going to just scrape out all our sharp edges from the knife, from the sawing with the hacksaw. And we'll put one in here. And we'll tap it in down here. Tap it in there nice and tight. Well, I don't have my screws like I thought I did, but they're over here. it so it looks straight here. It looks straight right there. So put a screw here. Oh, that's a nice solid bite. Yeah, it's a nice solid bite. There. Now we have a hole here for our green screw, so we got to put our ground wire on here. Yeah, it's biting into something solid too. Okay, we got a nice solid mount there. Okay, we'll snake a wire over from this one to this one. So I'll cut this one so I have enough to go down, around, and I'll cut it about right here. And I'll use these to make tails. Don't get frustrated about dropping stuff, you just pick it up when you need it. Put it in, put our wires in here. Okay, that's what we need about right here. And we will use our deeper box here for this one. Okay, so this one is going to be the bigger opening here. And this one over here is going to be this is a thinner wire mold, so we're going to just take out the bottom one here. I'm just going to make sure it's going to fit. Looks like it's going to fit nicely. This is our end outlet here, so we'll cut our wire right here. Got to get our ground wire on that green screw up here, so I'll just rip my end here. Don't care about them. Don't get frustrated. Don't care. Okay, so let it lay. You don't frustrate. Just let it lay. Okay, I'm going to get my green screws. We got to bond our ground wires to the box. Well, unfortunately, that's only a flathead screw. Nope, that's not the right size, so we'll throw that away. It's useless. We'll put one in that is the right size. We'll bring our ground wire up around our ground screw here. We'll close our loop the direction our screw turns here like that. Okay, we have our ground, our black and white hooked up to our outlet. So this is the plate we'll put on here. So we'll just break our little tabby out here. Okay, just gonna fit in here like this. Now I had to buy 832 screws because I lost the ones that came with this. And we'll get the length that we need, so we'll cut it about right here. And we'll clip our other screw here. Okay, we'll clip it about right here. Okay, make sure it's tight. We're in our little track on both sides here, and we'll hook our outlet up. We'll close the screws we're not going to use here. Oh, the wrong one, so let's shut them back in. Okay, so we'll first hook our ground wire up onto our green screw here. We'll take these screws out. There's our loop that drops in our screw turns like that. Make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, we'll put our white and black. Shorten these up a little bit. Our white and black on the receptacle. Okay, white will go on the silver colored. I'll make that a little longer, it's a little short. White will go on the silver colored screw. There's the white. Okay, we'll bring it around. I'm going to keep it down here on the bottom. And our black will go on the brass. nice and tight. You know, we can fold our wires into the box, so we'll go up a little bit with our wires and then down. Fold them down so that way they don't get pinched on anything. And we'll keep this ground wire down, and I'll shape it so it stays towards down the bottom here. We'll put our device in like that. I'm going to look and make sure my screws aren't going to hit the wires here. Okay, the bottom one's not going to hit anything, and the top one's not going to hit anything. So we can screw our outlet in. Get centered on our box here and tighten our screw. Make sure our wires are back away from everything here and nothing is pinched. And now we'll go back and we'll hook this last one up. Okay, we got to put our ground screw in here to bond our ground wire to the box. And we're going to make a pigtail for our ground wires. We'll clip our jackets here. Okay, I'll come down here with my ground wire, come around that green screw. You got to bond your box and your device when you're working with metal boxes to meet code. Okay, now we'll get our ground wires and we will I'll use a small tail wire to go to the outlet because it's going to be a fairly shallow box. Okay, I'm going to clip it even with my shortest wire here. So you see how it's nice and even on the end there? Put my wire nut on. Now I'm going to turn it with my pliers, and I'm not going to squeeze it again, I'm just turning it. So we get a nice solid connection here. this ground wire will come down below all this here, and I'll just push the bare copper back, and I'm not going to, careful not to puncture into the wires over here. I'm going to try to use the shallower box first. Okay, it'll fit. Oh, this is going to be the right length. I gotta cut a little off. You know what? If I have a problem with something, I throw it away. There, now it's going to fit nice and flat, because remember we have a wider wire mold over here and a narrower one over here. Okay, that's the right size there. Make sure it's down tight. Okay, we're in our track on both sides here. Get our new outlet out and put it in. Shorter here. Okay. Now this one we're going to hook up in series. You can wire them either way, series or parallel. So first we'll start with our ground wire. Make our loop the direction our screw turns. Now this outlet has the Robertson screws. We'll use our #1 Robertson screwdriver. Make sure it's nice and tight like that. Okay, we'll get our black wires out of the way here. We'll put our 2 white wires on the silver screw. It doesn't matter which one is on which silver screw. Make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, there we go. That's the kind of what we want for our connection there on our screws. Okay, now we'll flip this down. And the black wire's over. Okay, so we're going to fold this in, keeping our ground wire at the bottom. I got these blacks up over this way. And make a nice fold so when we put them into our box, they go in nicely. Okay, we'll have them go down. No, now we're going up and then down. Okay, I clipped that one a little long, so I'll just take a smidgen off of that. Make sure it's tight. Run our wire down. We'll come up and go around this screw. Make sure it's tight, and that's what we want. Okay, this wire moved, so I had to open this up. Close the loop again. Bring it down. Okay. Make sure it's tight. So that one's tight. Now that's what we want. Okay, now we can push these wires into our box. Now I do have a deeper box if this box is too shallow. I'll take my screws out of here. I'll push my ground wire nut over some. Okay, so now just maneuver, wiggly. I'm going to fix it so that fold it. Okay, they're not forced anywhere. Okay, now let's see if anything is forced over here. I want to make sure it's not going to cut against the side of the wire mold. It's not. Yeah, make sure we're not going to hit a wire. Look down here, Make sure we're not getting any wires down here. We're not mashing against the wire nut. The wires aren't hitting any sharp edges on either side, and we are all set. So we're going to look and see if we have another strap to put over here. Not the screws I wanted. We're going to put a strap right here. So we'll put one on the top. And after they paint the walls and everything, they'll put what's called a painter's tape over these outlets, and after they're done painting, we'll put brand new covers on. So that is how to add outlets with wire mold here in the country I was born in. That's how you put it. You cannot expose Romex on the wall. You have to have it enclosed in either in wire mold or conduit. Peace. Thanks for watching.